funds to do those kind of.
Okay.
I guess we have to
I'll
officially
call
open the meeting
to
now.
order. Have you all had a chance to look at the minutes?
Yep.
That's, do we accept the minutes as presented and file them away?
Yep.
Yep, okay, minutes accepted. Okay. Let's see, the agenda. You want to do your update and then we'll hop right into the other stuff, Pat?
So I gave you the, I gave you a copy of kind of the update. I think maybe most of you have heard, from a staffing point of view, we're in a bit of dire straits over here. It's not new, it's happening all over, but it's specifically hit our, our casework and social work staff. So the good news is we've got the 2 youth service positions are out they're doing internal recruitment this week. So they should go external next week. And we'd only have to do 1 recruitment. And if we get 2 good candidates, we can hire 2 good candidates from that. Adult service casework position has had an internal recruitment. It hasn't, and they're making some decisions around that before it go, and then it'll either be offered internally or go external. So I haven't heard an update on that. And they did put out through Indeed the food service assistant and the driver. So the only 2 that I'm waiting for external listings for are the nutrition coordinator, because they've had to completely revamp that job. That person was here for 17 and a half years. And they never updated it from when we used to just be a site that they served what came in to where we have a full, fully licensed commercial kitchen with multiple nutrition components to our program. So they're, in the process of doing that. We had already redone the job description, but there's a couple of other things they have to do, including, look at the pay scale and adjust it to fair market rate right now. Which has definitely changed. And that should go out. And then they have started looking at, I went through my job description with the town manager. And we've started, succession planning for my job. Hopefully they'll be able to list, put that out in the next couple of weeks as well, because that, they need more time to recruit a position at that level. So, but unfortunately, the other 2 things that happened is that our director of Human Resources resigned, and we also lost another staff member in that department. And so right now we have essentially a part-time principal. So that's where we are.
Pat, you're the internal candidate for the social worker. Are they good?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the report.
Yeah, and the other thing is the building study, which if many of you are interested, that affects the whole department. They really have presented it, making a new building that will house all of human services, including social, senior, and youth services. So over the next couple of years, it'll be something that you'll want to watch, and would be pretty exciting if we were able to do that. To accommodate, we definitely have space issues in all areas. So,
Okay, so
that's the big points, I would say.
why don't we move on to the RFP as proposed? I was looking at my notes, Pat. I don't have anything about an amount that we're, a range.
I think we just kind of talked about it and didn't do it, but for some reason I'm thinking the bottom end was 5,000 and the top end was 25,000.
That's what I wrote down.
Okay.
Okay. As
Okay,
long
good.
as that's where you're thinking. And the same thing could happen that's happened with the business one, where if we didn't get the amount, you can always put it out again, as long as it's within the time frame. So, just so if we don't get enough applications to equal the $350,000, you can, wait a few months and put it out again.
So if somebody wanted to submit a grant for $1,000, like you said, for a stove, that would be okay.
No, they'd have to go up to 5,000, but I'm telling you, if you're looking at commercial stoves, you're gonna be
Okay.
at least 5,000.
Okay.
I have them here, I know what refrigeration and they would probably then say, okay, we'll upgrade some other piece of equipment as well. I mean, a dishwasher is, if you're doing a commercial, like a lot of that equipment is incredibly expensive and hard for nonprofits to fund.
Okay. Okay, great. So what do you guys think about the RFP as presented?
Well, I think that there is some are we just looking at content or are we looking at format and grammar?
Everything,
Everything.
Yeah.
All right, I would take out
everything.
the common piece because it's a common grant application because a lot of different organizations use it. But for our purposes, it's just a grant application.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it
And
should say ARPA grant application.
right,
Right. Okay.
Right. And that we actually have to separate it from other town agency grants. They actually do have a logo for Mansfield ARPA related grants.
Right.
So that's what would go on this app, on this RFP when it went out.
okay.
So,
And for the formatting notes, I think that each of these are sentences. So I think they need a period after them,
Okay. Yeah.
each bullet point. And did we find out whether we can have a scan and email option?
yes, we can.
All right, so that should be included in that section.
Yeah, that in that section, or do you think it should be included in the letter?
I would put it
And both.
both. Yeah, can't
Okay.
hurt.
Okay.
It's as far as I got. Do the rest.
Yeah,
So you'll have to go through the application.
I am gonna try, I'm gonna mute myself and I'm gonna try Tasha again.
Okay. So have you guys looked at section 1? What do you think of section 1?
I'm
That's,
just scanning it now. I think it's fine.
yeah, I mean, it's exactly the same as the old one, right? We didn't really make any changes to that.
Okay. And section 2? Just some typo stuff, The double space is, space is down too far, so just got to move it up. And just moving, some of the formatting, like 5 needs to be pulled over a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing is right now it says additional information on the back, and that probably should be called project information or something, because above it, the heading is organizational information. And so the questions under this are about project information.
Mhm. Okay.
I left her a message and hopefully she'll get back to me.
Okay, thanks.
So Pat, we were just saying, Ethel, do you want to point out the typo that you noticed?
Yeah, I did. In the formatting, just there's too much of a space between, it's got to be brought up a little bit. I'm looking at it now. I think under 1, on the organizational information, section 2, narrative, it says 4 pages, double space. Well, the space should be moved up. It's just a typo.
Mhm.
It's a
Yep.
matter of cleaning it up. Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, wait a minute, that language has to change, because it says if applying for general support, this section should be no more than 5 pages. That should be deleted, right?
Right,
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah,
delete general support.
okay.
Wait, do we have something
Yeah.
different for general support? We're not
No,
doing.
it's
we're just not-
project direct.
It's all
yeah,
project. Okay.
Project direct,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
project or service directed, I would say.
And
Yes.
then the footer says common grant application, so we should just change that.
Yeah,
right.
So do we even need to say if applying for project, capital, campaign, or capacity building, this section should be no more than 4 pages? It should just be no more than 4 pages, period.
we just say no more than
And
4
I think
pages.
somewhere where we have to tell people, either in the letter or guidelines, that the project, capital campaign, or capacity building are the types of grants that they can apply for.
Mhm.
Right. We could do that in the cover letter, right?
Right.
Yes,
Okay,
At the top of the page 2, Pat, it says additional information, and I think it probably makes sense to call that project information, because the previous questions were about organizational information, and these questions are not about the organization, they're about the project.
projects. Okay,
And we might want to format that the same way that organizational information is, it's like all caps and bolded.
yeah.
mhm.
What do we mean by so far? There's number 3, what is the plan for implementation of the project? And then goes down and says so far.
I think that's a mistake. That was from a question that was deleted, and so those two
Okay.
words just didn't get deleted.
Okay, so we should make sure we take that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then just line up everything, typo wise. Okay, line up wise. What about the next section, you folks? Any problems there?
I think this is great.
Yeah, it looks good to me.
It's nice and simple.
Looks
and
very
direct.
professional, looks
Yeah.
very much like if I'm going for an outside grant,
Right.
what it looks like.
Yeah.
Um,
Plus, I like that it's short.
Yes,
They're not pages
Well,
that they
and-
have to go through.
well, it's also narrative versus, filling in an application.
We do
Right.
have to fix this though, because we're only, for all requests, again, project capacity building and capital campaign. So we got to take that line out and include, so most recent financial position, blah, 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 statement of activities, budget, proposed budget for your proposal becomes number 4. Categorized expenses and sources of revenue, that's part of that, I guess. And then, yeah, so that whole section just becomes number 4.
Okay,
Okay,
sounds good.
And again, the footnote needs to change.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, I mean, that'll happen just by pulling it out of the header. I think it was just left in the header. Or, I mean, the footer.
I have one other question. So we have said that for organizational information, they need to cover that in no more than 4 pages. What about the project information? The old version of this, it was 4 or 5 pages for the first section, and then it was like 4 pages for project information. So
Did we want to limit the whole thing to be no more than 5 pages tops?
they don't need to do 4 pages of their organization.
yeah, I mean, we've asked.
Right, because they can do attachments too. I
Yeah.
mean, like if they want to attach the budget, you
Right.
really only want so many pages of,
So do we just want to say that the narrative, section 2 narrative, right in that black line, it should say no more than 5 double-spaced pages?
Yes,
Yes.
mhm.
yeah.
And
And then it just needs to say,
No, I thought we were
I
sticking.
don't
to
even know if
4
we're gonna say organizational, all we have to say,
Right,
they're answering the questions, right?
Okay.
So narrative, limit to 5 pages and period.
Okay, and then just delete organizational information and then the project information.
Yep, exactly.
Right,
Okay, so under project information, that'll just, instead of being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it'll be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Right.
Yep.
No,
Okay. Nice and simple.
okay, good. So we're all happy with the way it is, right? You know, with the changes.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so we should now go over to the evaluation form and look at that and make sure we're happy with that.
Yeah, we need to update the description. So the criterion, I think are okay, but the rating description doesn't match those right now. And
oh, okay,
it, you know, and it hasn't been updated for this particular thing. So it's, you know, it's just the old language.
right, right.
Okay. So what would you want to say for number 1 then?
Number 1 is really the one that's different than the old sheet, so.
Right. Well, and like under rating description, number 2 will change because that's the old number 2. So we don't need
Yeah.
the text that's under 2 right now.
The text that's number 2 now, is that Mansfield resident, so I just have a marked up thing. So it says Mansfield residents impacted by proposal. Is that number 2?
That will be the new number 2.
The new number
Yeah.
2.
So under the rating description, what's under number 3 will be the new number 2, but I think it still needs to be reworded
I agree.
because this is about last year and we want to know,
But the future,
right?
So that's number 3 will be number 1, is that what you said?
No, it'll be number 2.
Okay,
But it needs to change. So how?
I mean, it could just be, to what degree will these services be used by residents of Mansfield?
okay.
Or will this
Which is the same-
project benefit residents of Mansfield?
what degree?
But hold on a sec, that seems to really say a similar to thing as number 3, which is offers a critical service not provided by the town. So. is
That
there a
speaks
reason-
more to duplication of service, which sometimes is all right. I mean, we have a food pantry, but we don't have a food pantry like yours or, you know, South Congregational Church. So, you know, we have a small food pantry. So some of it can be duplicative, but not,
All right.
Okay.
it can be duplicative, but not competitive. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
it shouldn't be, we already provide it to the level that is needed completely.
So
Pat, do
then
you-
is the criterion the same as it is in number 3 for number 2, but we got to change Glastonbury to Mansfield? Would that make sense?
Oh, yeah, yeah. You gotta get rid of Glastonbury. It should be Mansfield residents.
Well, and it's not asking about the past year, it's about we're asking about,
The
The
future.
current, will this new project?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
to
looking
what
forward
degree will
versus
it
looking in the
benefit,
past.
yeah. To what degree will this project benefit Mansfield residents?
Right.
And so we'll have to change the rest of the sentence, so it's not in past tense too.
Right,
And instead of use these services, because they're not really services, it will be like, will benefit from this project.
right, will benefit
Right.
from this project, yeah, because it's not necessarily going to be, in fact, like I said, because it's one-time funding, and, you know, I'm hoping we get a lot more of the, you know, capital and like one-time expenditure type.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Pat, I just want to clarify, when you were talking about how it's okay if it's duplicative as long as it's not competitive, are you saying that
Right.
you're questioning whether or not item 4 should be a criterion?
I think it does need to be, because we wouldn't want it to become just a duplication of what we already do. Like example, if they're going to try to do a program that we already do here, that there's not a gap in. But there are certain programs that, you know, different agencies do at a different level or in a different way. Now, I'll be honest with you, we have a food pantry here so that we can do food share and get other food related grants. But our food pantry is much more limited, you know what I mean, in the way it can serve than some other food pantries that we do send people to. But we do have emergency food here in the office. It's all non-perishable, because that's all really we can handle, and it's a small pantry. But we do refer to Wayne, to South Congregate, you know, and then we also help people with food, for food related, apply to food related programs. So, but again, that doesn't necessarily mean those other programs aren't significant and important to the people. But, you know, if they're saying, oh, we want to help people fill out, you know, state applications, well, we do that here in the office, you know, that we wouldn't want somebody new starting that here in town, because we already do that.
Right.
Does that make any sense? Like there's some
Yeah.
programs that you want to have multiple agencies that offer it.
I guess I'm
Um,
wondering, because this application isn't to fund services, it's to fund a one-time thing. So are
Right,
we saying,
or a temporary service that's needed now.
And one that they could continue without our funding in the future if they wanted to, you know?
okay, so this project will enable services that will enable critical services that aren't provided by the town?
Either enable or enhance. Not that
Enhance.
they're necessarily
Yeah.
not provided.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's-
instead of offers, so enhances or,
Enhances, offers or enhances a critical service.
okay.
Good.
So that's number 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, because number 2 on the criterion, number 3 originally is now number 2, right?
Right.
And then I'm getting confused. And then number
Yes.
4 is now number 3 and all the way
Correct.
down. Okay.
Yeah.
It's all very confusing.
Once it's all written up in the right format, you know, it won't be.
Yeah, it's going to be fine. And we're going to have multiple times to look at it before it actually goes out to people too.
Yeah.
Just would like to get it as specific as possible before it goes to the council.
Yeah.
Okay.
So number 5, which will now be number 4. So that needs to be changed to be about the quality of the proposed budget as opposed to operates in a fiscally responsible manner.
But that's not part of it.
Well, I'm just looking at the criterion, says quality of proposed budget.
Okay.
Quality of. So I guess we do want to see that they're presenting a reasonable cost for the service or project provided.
Right.
I don't know about the minimal overhead expenses piece, but
My memory
Well,
is,
I'll tell you why. That's because you don't want to see someone who is taking 50% of it for administrative costs. I mean,
Right.
there's a format. You definitely don't want to see anybody take more than 20,
right.
and 15 and under is ideal, but
So would we word it to say, does the proposed budget appear reasonable and fiscally responsible or something like that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, in relationship to the ARC project, yeah. Okay.
And then we'll just have to change the next sentence about the ratings.
Hmm. So I would say that 5 indicates that you want, what I want to see is that it's a thoughtful budget, that it's based on expenses that they've done some research into, that, you know, so that would be like a 5 to me, whereas a 1 would be they're shooting off the top of their head and it's a pie in the sky sort of a thing. So I don't know how to make that sound professional, but that's the idea, I think.
Is a reasonable, doable, and sustainable budget. It's kind of, I mean,
Yeah, but we're not talking about sustainability here.
right,
Whether it's reasonable for what the project that they want to.
And I
right.
think too, if you're looking at capital projects, you want to make sure that, you know, somebody can say, I can do that for $50,000, and then the next person can come in and say, it's a $30,000 job. Like, I want to know that they did their homework, figuring out
Right.
how much the project is going to cost them.
Right, that they costed it out, you know. I mean, and you all have done that. I mean, I had to do it with the air filters. I had to go and not only look at, you know, getting the air filter machines, but what it was going to cost to maintain them, you know, what changing filters would be, you know what I mean? Like, you have to do like the whole thing. So, and
Yeah.
would there be ongoing costs, and how would you maintain that?
Yeah, you'd want the proposal to be realistic, you know, the cost of the proposal to be realistic and not inflated or underinflated. you know.
Realistic
Right.
and comprehensive. I
Yeah.
like comprehensive.
Right,
And competitive, I guess, a different word for competitive, but
I wouldn't use competitive because
I don't like the word either, but to get to the point about doing the best value for the buck, basically.
mhm,
But maybe that's not our job.
right.
yeah,
Well, I can say with this is that, look, I mean, I think we kind of need more time to go really look at this and
Yeah.
go over it. Should we all just be maybe working on it, circulate it around? You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
because it's definitely different. It's anytime you try to fit something you used before, you know what I mean, into something.
the other question that I have about this is, do all of these criterion, do we want all of them to be weighted the same?
Right.
Because we're going to give them a score, and so we'll add it all up, and then that will guide the decision making about, or our recommendations to the town council about which ones should get funded. And so, do we think that all of these? So I think there's a total of 6 now. Are they all equally important?
I mean, I
No.
think
Yeah.
fitting the priorities of the ARPA funding, you know, the identifying the ARPA funding is weighted much more heavily, you know, than some of the others. I would, you know.
It could also be a screen. So it could be
Right.
like, you either fit them or you don't, and if you don't, that's the end of the rating.
Right.
And so it doesn't necessarily even have to be a score. It could-
Score. It can be either you do or you don't.
Yeah,
And then you don't go any further if they don't.
Okay.
I
Interesting.
mean, unless there's a possibility that someone that kind of meets them, I don't know. But we can't give the funding to them if they don't meet the priorities, right? That would be
Right.
not using federal money properly.
Right.
Yeah, if they don't meet the ARPA conditions, and we don't give it to them, you know,
Okay,
because they have, the ARPA has certain restrictions on the money, right? And certain requirements, so if they're not meeting them, you know, if they're proposing something that wouldn't be covered, then we wouldn't bother.
I mean, someone even asked
That
me
makes
the other night about the arts, and I'm like, there's money set aside for the arts. It's not, this is not those funds,
Right.
you know, so, well, they're nonprofits. I'm like, yeah, but that's not that's not the priority part. They're being, that we're being asked to assess. So, I don't want someone coming in for a project from the arts just because they're a nonprofit. They have to meet the humans what's been listed as that human service component of the proposal. So.
okay. So number one is going to turn into a yes, no then.
Mhm.
Right.
So that leaves 5 criterion, and then it's just a matter of, are they all worth 20%? Or
I'm a little fuzzy on the last criteria, the maximizing of available funding sources. Is that agency-wide? Is that for this particular project? What if they're pulling this together in a real time crunch? So I guess my
I think-
point is that no matter what it is, I think it should probably weigh less than
Right.
say,
Right.
whether it's a critical service or not.
Well, the only thing that I would say where that might be is if someone's applying for duplicative funds, that because they're applying for, you know what I mean, or there's a better source that there's more money for out there. And I know there's some people out that are applying for anything they can, you know what I mean, anything they can get. But I guess that's what I would say. If there are other alternative funding sources, it's not that you wouldn't fund them, but you might fund them at a different level or ask them to come back with more information, or I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to make it more complicated. I mean, this has to do, quite frankly, with the town feeling like, other towns should step forward.
Yeah.
Or,
Right.
if it's a program that serves multiple towns and just serves Mansfield a tiny bit, you know what I'm saying? Where else are they looking for funds? The challenge with this is that most towns are not allocating money for nonprofits. So nobody else is really doing what we're doing. That's what I would say. So it's not like we can look at the only way I could say is if there's state funding available or another, you know what I mean, or federal funding available that they're not maximizing. I think we would be really agreeable though to someone who is using this as a cost share for another program, another grant program. So let's say there's a federal grant program but they need a 25% cost share for it, and they're
Private
applying for that.
funding, it's not
Right,
government.
that's
Yeah.
right. Well, actually, a lot of the government grants now that are asking for cost sharing are allowing the ARPA funds to be used as cost share when they didn't do it in the past. So, which is kind of cool that if someone needs a 50% cost share for a federal or a state grant, they can use ARPA funds for that. So that might be a nice thing. And again, but I think some of the people that would be applying for this have been completely locked out of applying for any sources of ARPA funds.
Great.
You know, as you know, Victoria,
Mhm,
a
I
number
do.
of agencies have been completely locked out of it, which was one of the reasons why Mansfield decided to do this. At
By
this
virtue
level.
of where we're located, not because of the
Yes.
quality of our services.
Not at all. And providing very vital services, but just been locked out,
Right.
so. Do you all want to take you know, do you want to start maybe circulating some recommended changes to this document?
Yeah, sure. I
It
mean,
sounds
one,
like you need some more, well, we would be looking at presenting something to the council, and I asked Tasha to please send me the dates because we've got, you know, Jewish high holidays during October, as well as Indigenous People Day, and that intervene with, I don't even know when Ramadan is this year, but anyway, we've got a lot of, you know, things to think about in October that may move the meetings to be non-traditional times in October. So I want to find exactly what those are and then find out who's available. The good thing is, again, is you can present hybrid. They still are doing meetings where you can do hybrid. So if people can't be there in person, they're able to go on. So hopefully you'll be able to be there. So I know they really like to see it in October if they could.
You still don't know
earlier
what
the
dates though, right? I thought I
That's
looked
what
it
I'm
up.
looking, I mean, on what it says online, when you go into the town website, let me see
Yeah.
if that's. Let me see if I can open up another page here without turning myself off of here.
Yeah.
It says it in general, but maybe now, let me see if I can get it into. Okay, here's meeting calendar September, but I can't, I'm looking
I was
for,
able to get into the October meeting calendar. Now, don't ask me what the dates were because I can't remember, but I did
I
get it.
can't, I mean, I can't, let me see if I can see. Yeah, I can't, were you able to get into, I can't see October,
Yeah.
see, that's my problem.
Okay, let me see.
I can only see September when I go in.
No, there was one where you could go to the next month. Let me look it up.
Maybe it's under your government, you think? You see
Yeah.
town council,
I
but
see October
under town
10th.
council,
I'm sorry?
I see October 10th, town council regular meeting,
Right.
okay, October 10th.
and October 24th, town council regular meeting.
Okay.
So I'm hoping they didn't schedule, let me see. 'Cause that sounds like Indigenous People Day. So let me go.
The 10th is, yes.
It's a town holiday, so it's not going to be on the 10th. So I think that's why I was trying to get it from Tasha, because I think that's just, you know, the regular dates, they just put them in the calendar versus the actual dates they've set. I'm going to try to call Sarah Ann to see if she's got Sarah Ann Chain
Okay.
on. Continue meeting, I'm just going to call Sarah Ann to see at the town clerk's office if they've got that.
So I guess if we just take a look at this funding criteria sheet and just send our thoughts maybe to one person who can sort of just put it all together. Would that be you, Pat? Yes, I think it would be Pat.
Yeah.
And then we just review it and good to go.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. We can't
I
hear
don't know,
you.
Pat, are you talking to us? Because we can't hear you.
I said, I was just going to say, you can send them into our office. You can send them to Kathy and CC me. And I'm going to call Sarah Ann because Sarah Ann is, you know, town clerk and keeper of all information. And she'll know, I mean, which dates they've done. Like I said, I think those dates on the website are just putting
Okay.
that
Automatic.
second and fourth Monday in. So I will get back to you with that.
Okay. All right. So we should make our comments and send them to Pat and
Yeah.
get it together and then,
And I know that Shamim was going to also send her comments. That was what she had said. So, and I hadn't gotten them yet. So
you want to set
I'll
another
get that
meeting?
out to you. Pardon?
You want to set another
And-
meeting date?
Yeah, well, yes, well, your next actual meeting, regular scheduled meeting is the one that's between, the one that's in, I think, was it early December? And that was set because of the agency grant stuff
Right.
and the need to set your calendar for the next year. So I think at this point, you would probably need to decide you're probably going to be setting a special meeting, I guess is what I'm saying.
So
'Cause things are
I-
a little different.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead. No, it's okay.
Well, there is one on my calendar on September 28th.
Right, we changed that one to this one because 28th,
okay.
people weren't gonna be able to meet.
But we can go back to, we can set one up for the 28th though, right?
Yes, we
Why
could.
don't we do that? And that way it gives us a week.
Okay,
If that's okay with all you guys.
Yeah, I think that's great. I would love to like wrap this up as soon as we
Yeah.
can, so
yes,
it's all ready. Yeah.
Okay.
that's no problem.
Okay, good.
So, we can set that up. And virtual works?
Yeah. You
Yeah.
want to do virtual or in person? Virtual.
Yeah.
Virtual is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, virtual, yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you the town hall space is tough right now. We could do it here at the senior center, but town hall meeting space,
I think it's easier to do it virtually.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, for what we have to do, I don't think we need to all, and it
Yeah.
would make my life a lot
Yes.
easier right now, so.
Yeah.
And I, like I said, in all honesty, there's like no space to meet in the town hall. I mean, that's virtually what's happened.
Yeah.
It's, the Board of Ed is bursting at the seams. There's been new positions added at the town level, and there's been, obviously with so many interviews and that kind of thing for positions, there's just very limited availability of those, the conference room, so. But again, if you do want to meet in person, we can absolutely meet here at the senior center.
Why
We
don't we
have
just do
really
it virtually?
meeting space here.
Let's do it virtually.
Yep, yep,
Okay.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Victoria?
So say we get this all wrapped up in September. We don't have another planned meeting until December, is that correct? Okay, and then at the December meeting, our charge is to get the proposal ready for the regular funding that goes out?
So
Does that usually go out
that
in
is now gonna
January?
happen in the spring instead, but we do have to start working on that.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Because remember, they're going to allot the amount of money at the council.
Oh,
And
okay.
once they have done that, then we work on, and then you can get the money out. Like, we just pushed out those grants that we were, people submitted way back in
Right.
December. They just were signed off and paid out,
Yeah, let's just,
a long
this
time to
one.
wait for after you apply for a grant for the money.
When will these grants be due? Because we will need to meet to go
Right.
over them.
Right, so what will happen is, that's a good question, because that's gonna be one of their recommendations. They're gonna want them to go out as quickly as possible. But I really think you gotta give people a month to get the stuff back. So if especially if their first meeting in October, we can meet with them, we would be able to push this out pretty quickly after that. And then give people, the rest of October and most of November as well. And again, we could even stretch it out beyond that if you want, because the money's there. If you want to give people more than 4 weeks, we could do that.
And then
I
our
don't know.
December
That would-
meeting would be to score them.
Yeah, I mean, normally the December meeting is mostly, we have to have it to set the calendar for the next year. And that's another thing you're gonna have to discuss, how many meetings you want to have as regular, meetings. And do you want to set them up like every other month, regular meetings every other month, or like, you're gonna have, that will be a discussion you have at the December meeting.
So if we are reviewing the grant proposals, let's say we have a November 30th deadline and we're going to review in December, if we get bombarded with proposals, we have to do something in the language that gives us extra time to make decisions on these grants. And because our
Oh,
decisions aren't final anyway, it's based on the towns.
Well, so what you will do is you'll propose them to the town council, and the town council will authorize.
And when are we thinking we might do that?
So, I mean, if they come, again, you're hitting the holiday time and you're hitting the transition time for me as well. And hopefully a new person coming in, which isn't the worst thing in the world, to have that person, both of us around. But we can say we would be hoping to get back to them in January, either the first or second meeting in January, with our recommendations. And, if they approve them, those checks can go out really quickly. I mean, would be their approving them.
So by the end of January would be a safe.
Yeah. Right,
Okay,
right.
Okay.
good. That's great.
Good. Right.
And like I said, if we don't get enough, we can always put out a second set of them.
I have
I
a
mean, that
feeling we're
might
gonna
be
get
great.
plenty.
I think you'll get it.
I think so, especially with this where we're allowing capital, it's
Right.
more defined, it's easier for people to respond to.
Absolutely.
I totally agree. So, okay.
Okay.
All right, so I will get back to you once I know of those dates. And again, hopefully we can get on, if they meet on that Tuesday after Indigenous People Day, is that going to be something that's you'd be able to make?
Is that
'Cause
the,
I think that's what they've done in the past. They've just met on the Tuesday instead of the Monday.
Yeah,
that
that's
would-
fine for me.
That's like the
Like on the
15th, right? I mean,
No, it'd be the 11th.
11th. Yeah, I'm around. I'm not going anywhere.
Okay,
Yeah, that would work out well. So,
all right, great.
Okay.
Okay, great. All right,
All right, so everybody send in your comments to Pat, and we'll see you next week.
Mhm.
So wait a minute, Victoria, you said number 2 is deleted on your list.
On my, I think Catherine asked, am I to delete number 1 and make number 2 now number 1? On my sheet, it's number 2 that's deleted. Number 1 remains number 1, and then number 3 becomes number 2.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, all right, guys, have a good week.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, take care. See you, Victoria.
Bye.